Hey guys, it's Sean from Scuffy.com, tees for outlaws, outcasts, and other ordinary people. Today's video is not about t-shirts, but about a custom project we're doing for our second generation Chevy S10. We're trying to create a custom gear shifter, and as we were researching that project, we kind of found out that there aren't a lot of videos on how to remove the gear shift knob. We thought we'd be able to pull off the gear shift knob and add a new one on there. Turns out the gear shift knob on this generation truck is pressed on rather than screwed on or held on with any type of clip. We decided to remove that knob and show you what you'll be dealing with should you try to take on this project yourself. We're not going to go into a whole lot of detail on what we actually made and how we did it. We will show you some general information on the project, but it's more so you can see what you'll be looking at once you remove that knob, and then you can decide how to proceed from there. Our total cost for this project was about 25 bucks. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do is to remove the housing for the gear shift. This is a picture of the actual housing after we've taken it out of the truck. Very simple to remove. You pull out the large rubber component piece. Underneath that there is one nut. So there's a screw or a bolt that comes out of the floor, goes right through that hole. You remove that nut. After you do that, you can pull this housing right off the gear shift. So after you remove the housing, you can take the rubber boot and just slide it down on the fat gear shift, and you'll be able to access a lock nut that's actually coming out from the transmission. All you got to do is back that nut off a couple of turns with a wrench, and then this gear shift will unscrew and you'll be able to remove the gear shift. So to remove the knob from the gear shift, we used a vibrating multi-tools with just a plunge blade on it. I held it in a vise and just shaved it off in this manner. You know, I was shaving it away from me like you'd use a knife. When the gear shift knob came off, this is what we were left with. Pretty much a shredded and destroyed knob handle. This thing can never be used again. Okay, this is what we consider the most important part of the video. I wanted to show you what was inside that gear shift, or at least what you were looking at once you remove the knob. As you can see here, it is hollow and then widens out as it gets towards the base. Here's a picture of us measuring the internal diameter of the gear shift. It's 1/2 inch. This is showing that we're measuring just how deep inside you could push something, and it was about 3 3/4 inches. This is the steel tubing I bought at Lowe's. Was about $7.50, 1/2 inch outside diameter. So according to what we figured, we'd be able to slide this right into the gear shift. We went with hollow tube rather than a solid steel rod for a number of reasons. One, we thought it would be stronger, and two, you're going to see how we attached our new gear shift knob to this shaft later on. Okay, this is a shot of us measuring the inside diameter of that steel tube. It was 3/8 of an inch. Here's a shot of the bolt we bought that will be threaded into our new gear shift knob, also 3/8 of an inch. Here's our gear shift knob. This is an acrylic skull that I bought on eBay or Amazon. It was about 12 or 15 bucks. Next to it is the bolt we'll be threading into it and a 3/8 inch tap. Again, this is not an instructional video. I'm just assuming you know how to use these. If you don't, just YouTube how to use a tap and die set. This is the finished hole in the bottom of the gear shift skull. Real pain in the neck because obviously the skull is an irregular shape. Even if you put it in a drill press, chances of it holding steady are fairly slim. I drilled a 1/8 of an inch pilot hole and then drilled a 3/8 inch hole after that. The process was very slow. It's acrylic, so I was able to go a little bit slower, and it was not quite as dangerous as, say, drilling into a piece of metal or something like that. So, like I told you at the beginning of the video, after we measured the how deep the well was inside the gear shift, it was about 3 3/4 inches. We were planning on sliding this 1/2 inch steel tube right down to the bottom of that hole. It was a little tight, so we ended up kind of grinding down this pipe a little bit. Even after we did that, it was still very tight. So I basically just ended up inserting that into the hole and then just tapping it down with a hammer, and we ended up getting it to sink about 2 inches. It was that tight. Our end result was this here, and we didn't feel that we needed to weld it. I mean, that thing is in there tight. If this thing ever needs to come out, I don't know how the heck we'd ever get it out of there, so be aware of that. Then we took the 3/8 inch bolt that I showed you earlier that will thread into the gear shift knob. We cut the head off the bolt, we sunk it about 3 inches into the end of the rod, and then we just welded it to the rod. And that thing's really not going anywhere. After we welded it and ground it down, there's no flex to it at all, and at this point we were able to just screw on the gear shift knob. Okay, this is a shot of the final project. We're going to try to get a quick shot of the bottom of the gear shift. Maybe you can see that it was internally threaded. The original gear shift minus the knob we cut off was about 7.5 inches tall. Plus we have this extension and the new knob. In total, that's about 24 inches tall. That means when this thing is installed back on the truck, that head is going to look out right over the dashboard. It's going to look ridiculous. It's impractical, but we are going for fun here, and that's about it. I hope this video was helpful in letting you discover, hopefully before you cut apart your gear shift, exactly what's in there, and you can decide how you want to proceed with your own project. Leave your comments. We'll be happy to hear them. And any advice you might have or any projects you're working on, leave us a link. Don't forget to visit Scuffy.com and Leston Media.